Ellie Matt was laid to rest on June 11, 2026, following an official funeral in his Newtown community, attended by Head of State Dame Marcella Liebert and Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew. Paying last respects, thousands of people across the Federation remembered the outstanding and in some cases pioneering contribution of the late King Ellie Matt. Leader of the famed band, Ellie Matt and the Jazz Brass, the composer, singer and arranger made an indelible mark on the life and times of many in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the region through his prolific and exceptionally arranged music that showcased his talent across music genres. Performing at major events across the Caribbean region, United Kingdom and the United States, Ellie Matt is recognized as one of the region's most outstanding musicians. He will be fondly remembered for his competitive spirit in calypso competitions, his unique performance art, and the numerous road march tunes and patriotic songs he produced and sang. Thousands lined the streets of Bastia as the funeral procession moved on its way for his interment at Springfield Cemetery. Elston King Ellie Matt will always be remembered as a musician and entertainer extraordinaire of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean. Glenn Barth reporting for Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40.
I ain't showing this no mercy. I don't back me belly, not even Freddy half as ready as me. Tell them I'm coming, fucking, I'm coming.
As the FIFA World Cup prepares for kick-off, school children in Haiti are playing along. 48 schools have been chosen to represent the 48 countries in the World Cup and stage their own tournament. But Team Mondial 2026 is more than a football tournament. It's a call for peace in a country ravaged by violence. Team Mondial 2026 meant a great deal to us and was a game for peace. We used this slogan in relation to Team Mondial's objective. It's about enabling young people to really enjoy themselves, because we must remember that it's not just about students travelling from their homes. It's also about their schools being difficult to reach and the inaccessibility for these students. With Haiti participating in the World Cup for the first time in 54 years, it's an opportunity for Haitians to set aside their concerns and unite around their team. It also offers an alternative to violence. Haiti will not be rebuilt through violence. It will not be built by those who are destroying this school, these neighborhoods, these playgrounds, these police stations. Haiti's national team faces its first World Cup opponent on Saturday, going up against Scotland in Group C. But the most significant matches may be those being played right here in Haiti.
Now to Cuba in crisis. A local Coral Gables company struck a historic deal to send fuel to Cuba's private sector. Up until this point, companies have only been able to send small amounts of oil at a time. CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner is your reporter in Coral Gables at that company's headquarters to break down the deal.
The oil that this company is sending to Cuba is supposed to end up in the hands of private businesses not associated with the Cuban government. But sometimes that line isn't always a clear one. So I asked Vanguard Energy what safety measures they have in place. After more than a dozen meetings with Cuban and U.S. officials, Vanguard Energy signed a contract to lease facilities owned by the Cuban government to store fuel on the island, allowing their larger oil tankers to head to Cuba. I asked Vanguard how it will ensure the fuel stays out of the hands of the Cuban government.
In order to achieve a deal, we had to insist with the Cuban government that Vanguard Energy would maintain ownership and control of the fuel that goes into the storage tanks in Cuba. There is no transfer of title. There's no change in ownership. The second point was we need to be able to determine who our customers are without interference. The third thing is we are not going to operate through the Cuban banking system.
I also asked how they will make sure the private companies don't turn around and sell the fuel to the Cuban government.
Part of what we can do in terms of oversight is ensure that the order volumes that are distributed are consistent with the needs of the approved customer.
While the Cuban government has agreed, Vanguard is still waiting for the U.S. to give the official green light to make sure they are strictly following U.S. rules and regulations. The president of the U.S. Cuba Trade and Economic Interest Council, which represents the business community, believes Cuba wants this to succeed.
They know that everyone's watching this, so I think they're going to behave themselves, because also it alleviates some pressure on them. And that's something they desperately need right now.
The president of Vanguard told me that the hope is for Cuban and U.S. officials to realize that privatizing the oil sector in Cuba is a good idea, which means eventually more companies could head into Cuba. In Coral Gables, Morgan Reiner, CBS News, Miami.
This summer, the Caribbean's premier music experience returns. Welcome to the 28th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival, featuring the incredible Kilani, Fantasia, Beres Hammond, Luciano, Soca King Marshall Montano, Soca Sensation Voice, and Vaughn. Dancehall giant Movado, Idonia, and the new wave, Valiant. Also featuring Massacre, Cranium, Taurus Riley, Steel Pulse, Dean Fraser and the Black Soil Band, Shanil Mir, Diani, Rodney Tatat, and Zoo. The legendary New Vibes Band International, Brandon and ASAP Band, Shelly and Signal Band, plus Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Rukas HE, and Garlic and the Upper Level Band. June 25th to June 27th, Warner Park Cricket Stadium, St. Kitts. Get your tickets now at stkittsmusicfestival.com. The St. Kitts Music Festival, where music meets paradise.
A new day begins. The sun rises over St. Martin, bringing new energy, new possibilities. This island was built on resilience, progress, and the strength of its people. Our connection is what moves us forward. It links our communities, our businesses, our families. From the heart of the island to the shores beyond, we've connected St. Martin. From every street to every home, this network was built for St. Martin by St. Martin hands. Connection isn't just about signals, it's about people. This is your island and your network recharged. Proudly local, we're here for today, tomorrow, and every milestone ahead.
At The Cable, we believe in giving back because when our community thrives, we all do. That's why, as a company, we make it our mission to touch the lives of everyone in St. Kitts. We spearheaded the renovation of JNF Hospital lobby to ensure better care for all. The Cable sponsors free Wi-Fi in every community center across St. Kitts, so no one is left behind in an increasingly connected world. We stand with communities through every moment, big or small, in culture, education, youth development, and more. Y a ti también, comunidad latina. Cuenta con nosotros. Estamos con ustedes. And when it comes to customer service, we set the standard. We're just a call, click, or visit away because you matter to us. Join the company that truly cares. The Cable, more than service. We're family. Somos familia. And we're proud to always give more where it matters.
Lace your sneakers, grab a friend, and get ready for Praise Fest 2026, the Federation's premier gospel concert, in collaboration with St. Kitts Music Festival. Join us on the Antioch Baptist Church grounds as we praise with Tehillah Gospel Band, Unique Touch Christian Center Praise, Brent Hoyt, Positive, and Chevel Franklin. Earthen Vessels will start it off with praise and worship. This all goes down June 21st, 2026, starting at 5:30 p.m. on the Antioch Baptist Church grounds. Secure your tickets at Sister Beverly on 4th Street, Westside Service Center. The Cable, Island Flavors, Charlestown, Nevis, or any member of the Antioch Baptist Church. Or you can go online at www.antiochbaptistskn.org. Islander water taxis providing $40 round trip from Nevis to St. Kitts. Be first in line for an unforgettable evening.
Minister of Health, Dr. Lakram Bodo, is urging nationals to avoid all travel to 3 African countries amid an active Ebola outbreak.
The Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, South Sudan. These countries are considered high-risk zones. It is to be noted that the World Health Organization, WHO, has officially declared this outbreak a public health emergency of international concern.
Citizens are also being advised to exercise extreme caution when traveling to 9 additional African countries identified as high risk by the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
These countries are as follows: Angola, Burundi, the Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Zambia.
Dr. Bodo said strict border management measures have been implemented to safeguard public health in Trinidad and Tobago.
Citizens and residents arriving in Trinidad and Tobago who have visited or transited through the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan will be subject to enhanced health screening upon arrival. Furthermore, these individuals will be subject to mandatory 21-day active monitoring protocols. Depending on the results of the initial health screening, travelers may also be subject to immediate isolation or quarantine measures as directed by port health authorities.
The health minister is advising citizens with planned travel to affected countries to consider postponing or cancelling their trips and to continue monitoring updates from the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. Daniel John, TTT News.
Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, in his capacity as Minister of National Security, addressed members of the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force as marching soldiers stopped in front of government headquarters to mark the June 10th anniversary of an attempted coup in 1967. Prime Minister Drew commented on the seriousness of the historic event, praising the strength and determination of the force then and in current times in spite of the small size.
And the lesson of that day has never left us. Although small, we are not weak, and our strength and character are not defined by our size, but our will and our commitment to this great country. Therefore, the strength of our country is not measured in square miles. It is measured in the spine of the men and women who refuse to let it fall. That is why you march today, and that is why we are standing with you today. You are the living answer to June 10, 1967. Every generation must produce people willing to stand between this nation and those who wish to do it harm. And in this generation, you are those who are called upon to stand. You, the members of our esteemed Defense Force, as you stand with our people. When you put on this uniform, you do not put on a costume just for parade. You put on the memory of everyone who stood firm so that we could stand firm today. And you take up their unfinished duty, which is the duty of nation building.
Following the brief address, the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force soldiers marched through downtown before returning to Camp Springfield. Glenn Bart reporting for Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40.
Developing right here at noon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is visiting Guantanamo Bay, Cuba today. This is video of him flying into the U.S. naval base earlier. And this is the latest high-profile trip to Cuba by a senior U.S. official.
And it comes as the president steps up pressure on the communist-controlled island. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live in Miami with the latest on Hegseth's visit.
The international community has been bearing witness to these back-to-back visits, as you say, from senior leadership in the United States to Cuba. The latest, as you are referencing there, being our Secretary of Defense and the Department of Defense posting some fresh video of that visit within the last hour to the platform X. Take a look. The Department of Defense announcing Secretary Pete Hegseth will be traveling to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba today to engage with troops at Gitmo, and he plans to pay a visit to U.S. Central Command in Tampa, a Florida city which is also home to a large Cuban-American community. His visits come on the heels of mounting military presence in the region, the recent indictment of Raul Castro in connection to the 1996 Brothers to the Rescue shootdown, and amid ongoing high-stakes negotiations between the U.S. and Cuban officials. Last month, a U.S. aircraft carrier and its strike group of fighter jets and radar jamming equipment entered the southern Caribbean. The director of the CIA visited Cuban officials in Havana. At the time, Local 10's Cuba analyst said his contacts on the island confirmed Cuba has access to drones for, quote, defensive purposes. This as Southcom posted to the platform X that it has established a new autonomous warfare command, displaying a military exercise in Key West earlier this year of its autonomous, semi-autonomous, and unmanned systems used, they say, to counter threats in the region. On Monday, the UN's human rights chief warned that America's maximum pressure campaign, which has included blocking oil access to the communist island, is leading to a humanitarian crisis.
Cuba is actually not controlled by the government.
But America's Secretary of State Marco Rubio has blamed economic weakening and growing unrest on what he has described as the island's long legacy of greed, mismanagement, and corrupt leadership, calling attention to a Cuban military-operated conglomerate, which he said is starving the people from access to the money needed to address food shortages and crumbling infrastructure.
What people who live in that area, in the Guantanamo area, try to rush the base for safety reasons. And that could present a problem for us from an immigration point of view. So we have to see what the secretary says after the meeting. But more than that, we have to see who he meets with.
And you were just listening to Local 10's Cuba analyst. One thing he has mentioned before is how many here in Miami's Cuban-American community are hoping all of this ultimately culminates in political change in Cuba. We shall see. Reporting live for you, I'm Christina Vasquez, Local 10 News.
This summer, the Caribbean's premier music experience returns. Welcome to the 28th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival, featuring the incredible Kilani, Fantasia, Beres Hammond, Luciano, Soca King Marshall Montano, Soca Sensation Voice, and Vaughn. Dancehall giant Movado, Idonia, and the new wave, Valiant. Also featuring Massacre, Cranium, Taurus Riley, Steel Pulse, Dean Fraser and the Black Soil Band, Shanil Mir, Diani, Rodney Tatat, and Zoo. The legendary New Vibes Band International, Brandon and ASAP Band, Shelly and Signal Band, plus Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Rukas HE, and Garlic and the Upper Level Band. June 25th to June 27th, Warner Park Cricket Stadium, St. Kitts. Get your tickets now at stkittsmusicfestival.com. The St. Kitts Music Festival, where music meets paradise.
A new day begins. The sun rises over St. Martin, bringing new energy, new possibilities. This island was built on resilience, progress, and the strength of its people. Our connection is what moves us forward. It links our communities, our businesses, our families. From the heart of the island to the shores beyond, we've connected St. Martin. From every street to every home, this network was built for St. Martin by St. Martin hands. Connection isn't just about signals, it's about people. This is your island and your network recharged. Proudly local, we're here for today, tomorrow, and every milestone ahead.
At The Cable, we believe in giving back because when our community thrives, we all do. That's why, as a company, we make it our mission to touch the lives of everyone in St. Kitts. We spearheaded the renovation of J&F Hospital lobby to ensure better care for all. The Cable sponsors free Wi-Fi in every community center across St. Kitts, so no one is left behind in an increasingly connected world. We stand with communities through every moment, big or small, in culture, education, youth development, and more. Y a ti también, comunidad latina. Cuenta con nosotros. Estamos con ustedes. And when it comes to customer service, we set the standard. We're just a call, click, or visit away because you matter to us. Join the company that truly cares. The Cable, more than service. We're family. Somos familia. And we're proud to always give more where it matters.
Lace your sneakers, grab a friend, and get ready for Praise Fest 2026, the Federation's premier gospel concert, in collaboration with St. Kitts Music Festival. Join us on the Antioch Baptist Church grounds as we praise with Tehillah Gospel Band, Unique Touch Christian Center Praise, Brent Hoyt, Positive, and Chevel Franklin. Earthen Vessels will start it off with praise and worship. This all goes down June 21st, 2026, starting at 5:30 p.m. on the Antioch Baptist Church grounds. Secure your tickets at Sister Beverly on 4th Street, Westside Service Center, The Cable, Island Flavors, Charlestown, Nevis, or any member of the Antioch Baptist Church. Or you can go online at www.antiochbaptistskn.org. Islander Water Taxis providing $40 round trip from Nevis to St. Kitts. Be first in line for an unforgettable evening.
Nearly 2 years after $50.831 million earmarked for pathway workers was stolen from the Region 6 Democratic Council, the Auditor General says auditors were still unable to verify whether a police report had been filed or what progress, if any, had been made in the investigation. According to the Auditor General's 2024 report, auditors were not provided with a police report or any documentation showing the progress of investigation into the disappearance of the millions of dollars from the Region 6 Democratic Council. The money, which was being held for payment to pathway workers, was reportedly stolen in September 2023 from a secured cupboard inside of the Regional Democratic Council offices. Despite the significant loss of taxpayer funds, the report noted that no evidence was presented to auditors indicating the status of the criminal investigation or any official update on efforts to recover the stolen money. The finding is among a series of financial management and accountability concerns highlighted in the Auditor General's latest report. The report also identified contract overpayments totaling more than $1 billion across 86 contracts administered by various government ministries and regional administrations. Additionally, auditors reported that 120 payment vouchers valued at $877.286 million were not presented for examination. At the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, advances exceeding $216 million linked to pump station projects remain unrecovered, while the Ministry of Health disposed of more than $1.9 billion worth of expired pharmaceuticals. The Auditor General further flagged a $55.296 million fraud involving old age pension and public assistance coupons, procurement breaches at several state agencies, and the continued non-use of a water ambulance purchase for Region 5 more than 4 years ago. The disappearance of $50.831 million earmarked for pathway workers is expected to attract renewed attention when parliamentary committees begin reviewing the Auditor General's findings, particularly given the absence of documentation detailing the process of investigation into one or more significant thefts of public funds highlighted in the report. Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
The meeting focused on reviewing the seasonal outlook, assessing national health sector preparedness, identifying priority actions, clarifying roles and responsibilities, and strengthening coordination mechanisms ahead of the hurricane season. The 2026 hurricane season coincides with El Niño conditions, a naturally occurring climate phenomenon characterized by warmer than average sea surface temperatures in parts of the Pacific Ocean.
El Niño is not a new phenomenon, but because of climate change, the temperatures have been rising. As a result, we are expecting a more intense El Niño this season. Some of the additional effects that we can expect are higher temperatures, drier conditions, less rainfall. This will lead to drought, prolonged flooding, and also we are expecting some public health impacts.
According to Dr. Delphina Werner, seasonal forecasts from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, indicate an increased likelihood of a less active Atlantic hurricane season due to El Niño conditions. Current projections suggest between 8 and 14 named storms, 3 to 6 hurricanes, and 1 to 3 major hurricanes. However, she emphasized that preparedness remains essential regardless of the forecast. Dr. Werner also outlined how the Ministry of Health plans to respond to future public health emergencies during the hurricane season.
We work alongside the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, our first responding agencies such as St. Lucia Fire Service, the police, our hospitals, utilities, and other sectors to ensure that we have a coordinated response to any impending disaster. This is very important because there are many factors to consider when dealing with the preparedness as well as the response.
The ministry advises that hospitals, emergency departments, selected polyclinics, and district hospitals will remain operational to provide essential and emergency healthcare services during severe weather events. Dr. Werner also reminded citizens to complete routine healthcare visits and refill necessary prescriptions before the onset of a storm whenever possible. Residents are being encouraged to begin preparations early so they can respond effectively should a weather system threaten the island.
The forecast predicts a less than active hurricane season. However, let's not be complacent. Ensure you have your emergency supplies packed and ready. Ensure that you've secured your important documents. Ensure that your family members are aware of what the plan is. Be sure to look out for elderly family members, children, disabled, and other persons who may need assistance during the time of the hurricane.
The ministry is also reminding the public that hurricanes and other emergencies can affect emotional and mental well-being. Anxiety before a storm, stress during an emergency, and the feelings of loss or uncertainty in the aftermath are all common experiences. Health officials are encouraging residents to stay informed, make preparations early, and take steps to protect both their physical and mental health throughout this hurricane season. For the DBS News World, Manasseh Stanislas reporting.
Staying with the health sector now, because 9 people are now currently in mandatory self-quarantine after traveling to Ebola-affected countries in the last 21 days. Dr. Christopher Tofton says the travelers have shown no symptoms of Ebola, and the medical team say there is no risk to the other passengers on board the flights.
Ministry can confirm that 9 passengers from several flights into the country had a travel history associated with the affected countries. These individuals had received counseling from the airport health desk, placed under mandatory self-quarantine, and are being monitored by the respective health departments. Importantly, all 9 passengers have not manifested any symptoms associated with Ebola.
Dr. Tofton says while Jamaica remains low risk for Ebola, there is heightened surveillance at the ports of entry. At the cruise ship terminals, for example, he says the intensity of the interrogation for visitors may be increased, as well as the visibility of other healthcare workers.
So the risk to Jamaica remains low. The scale and trajectory of the outbreak warrants enhanced preparedness measures. in accordance with our WHO recommendation for countries assessed as having low risk of importation. So in keeping with the WHO temporary recommendation issued to countries at low risk, we have intensified preparedness activities aimed at ensuring the early detection, reporting, and safe management of any potentially imported cases.
As we continue our preview of the 2026 SKNFA Women's President's Cup, we turn our attention to the defending champions MSCR Old Road United Lady Jets. When Old Road captured the 2025 SKNFA Women's President's Cup title with a memorable victory over perennial powerhouse Honda Newtown United, many expected them to carry that momentum straight into the Elvis Brown Women's League and claim the championship. However, football often delivers surprises, and it was Mapao Kiam Rockets who stunned the local football fraternity by securing their first ever league title. Now, the Lady Jets are eager to make amends for that disappointment, and retaining the President's Cup would be the perfect way to begin their campaign. Speaking after training earlier this week, head coach Alexis Morris expressed confidence in his squad's preparation and believes the team is ready to successfully defend its title.
I think for me, it's always the hardest thing to do is to get started, and we have tried to jumpstart the season with the girls. We know it has been a very difficult position, but the girls are trickling in. Today have been the most we have had thus far, but the girls are trickling in nonetheless, realizing that the league kicks off this coming weekend with the President's Cup, like you say. And so therefore, we basically will be hoping that we get the numbers on the pitch starting as of tomorrow. We should have some more personals on the pitch, and we have not, to be honest, we have not done any tactical work as yet. We still have been doing some foundation, having a lot of youngsters around and building from there. And so, yes, of course we're not in a rebuilding stage, we're still in a competing stage, so we expect that once we step on the field that we are there to compete. So we know that we would have lost the title last year to the Kayan team, but we are back again. We have them in the President's Cup, and we hope to come out on Sunday with a bang.
Coach Morris also sees the President's Cup as an important stepping stone toward a larger goal, reclaiming the Women's League Championship.
The team is highly motivated, especially seeing on the backdrop of what the guys would have done, an undefeated and invincible season, going through an entire season undefeated, winning both the FA Cup as well as the championship. So I know that the girls are eager, they are going to feed off of it, and so I know most of them have been out to every game, and they would have looked very keenly as to the season that would have unfolded. So I know that the girls, once they get on the pitch, like I said, they will be ready. They'll be ready to compete, and we trust that getting the first silverware under our belts would set the tone for the rest of the season, which would start a week later. So it's very important to us.
Morris is no stranger to success. He guided the historic Old Road men's team to Premier League and FA Cup titles while completing an entire season unbeaten. He believes the winning mentality and culture of excellence can inspire the women's program to pursue every trophy on offer this season.
Those girls look up to those guys. A lot of time before now, they have been training with the guys, so they know them inside out, and most of them would like to rub shoulders with the guys. They would love to reach where some of the guys are as well. And so some of them have that ability. We have quite a number of players who, even if you look at Tiki, a lot of them, Tiki is just a player that everyone loves. But you could go down the roster on the male side, and the girls would just adore basically all the players. You talk about Messi, you talk about Jebo, you talk about Nijan, Kwan. Every time you just hearing those names ringing. And so the girls have a lot to feed off of, and we know that the boys, the males, would have done something remarkable, and it could only have a trickle-down effect on the girls. And so come on Sunday, like I said before, we'll just have to see what the girls could have taken from what the boys would have done, and so that they could jumpstart their season as well.
The veteran coach also issued a passionate appeal to the Old Road faithful, encouraging supporters to rally behind the women's team with the same enthusiasm and commitment they showed the men's side during its championship run.
We have seen the technical centre transformed into a sea of blue, and so we are definitely going to be asking the fans of the MFCR United Old Road Jet, both males and females, to come on out, young and old, in between, no matter the age. We know that what the Old Road Jets have done, it would basically set the tone for a lot of years to come. OR is a brand, OR is far-reaching, and so we just want to use this opportunity to invite everyone out to the Technical Center on Sunday to witness the MFCR Old Road United Lady Jets going forward and doing battle against the Cayenne Rockets as we look to hoist the President's Cup come on Sunday. So come on out, one and all. The place to be is at the Technical Center on Sunday.
The 2026 women's football season kicks off on Sunday with the SKNFA Women's President's Cup. Kickoff is scheduled from 6 p.m. at the National Bank Group Technical Center.